I wish to advise the Deputy that this is a commercial decision for Bus Eireann, as I'm sure he is aware, and not one in which I have any role. However, I did contact the National Transport Authority for clarification on this, and the position is as follows. The National Transport Authority is responsible for securing the provision of public passenger transport services through public service contracts, where services cannot be provided on a commercial basis, and the licensing of public bus services which are operated on a commercial basis. Bus Eireann's Expressway Route 2 is licensed by the National Transport Authority, and the company has been granted amendments to the licence for this route. There is nothing to prevent Bus Eireann, or indeed any other licensed operator, from applying to the National Transport Authority to amend the times and/or routes of these licensed services. Such applications are considered in accordance with the arrangements set out in the NTA's guidelines for licensing of passenger or public bus passenger services. There is no legislative framework to refuse an amendment where the NTA considers that there would be no impact on either any other commercial or any other subsidised services by granting it. Accordingly, Bus Eireann's decision to amend the timetable and the points served on this route is entirely a commercial matter for the operator. I trust this clarifies it for the Deputy.
Thanks, Ciarán, and thanks for taking it. Thanks for the update, Minister. So I wouldn't normally use a priority question for something like a single bus route. The reason I'm bringing it up is because this is an issue for Minister Varadkar and for yourself, for the following reason. This isn't just a commercial route. It's actually an access to healthcare issue. The number 2 bus goes to St Vincent's. St Vincent's is the closest hospital for a wide range of healthcare issues. Now, what happened, Minister, was last September, Bus Eireann, for commercial decisions, decided to stop at Vincent's once a day, once going up and once going back. It caused a huge level of concern and panic in Arklow and on the route on the way up. I've been engaged with Bus Eireann, the Chief Executive of Bus Eireann, on this issue, and he's gone as far as he can, and in fairness, they have responded to representations from myself, from other public representatives and from the public on this. But he's gone as far as he can for the very reason that's been given here, which is that this is a commercial route and therefore has nothing to do with the Minister, nothing to do with the department. This is a case where a subsidy is required. You've got a lot of people heavily dependent on this one bus route for job reasons, for healthcare reasons. And so I appreciate you can't, Minister, give any commitment to subsidise the route now, but what I would ask is that you acknowledge that this is not simply a commercial decision for Bus Eireann, and that you will undertake with me here now to go back and look at whether or not there is a case, which I very strongly believe there is, for a subsidy. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, thank you, Deputy Minister.
Deputy, I'm glad to see you are interested in constituency issues. No doubt that's noted.
We thought you were above that. You keep telling us you are anyway.
But it is.
It's amazing how it brings you down to the centre.
Deputy Donnelly is beginning to follow Minister Ring's way of doing business. In fairness, I did take the time to look at the changes that have taken place in relation to this route, amendments that were decisions that were made in early 2012, and some of them were amended again accordingly in a number of occasions in May or in August, in September, and they're even looking at different new bus stops being introduced along the route as well. They're engaging with the local authorities in relation to this. I think in a broader, I know you're using it as an example of an issue here, and there is the distinction between the commercial operation and obviously the PSO operation. And I suppose that is a pendulum that needs to be looked at. I would make this commitment to the Deputy, is that in the overall scheme of things, the whole issue of PSO routes and all of that will have to be looked at into the future. And as part of that, everywhere will be assessed again. And that is something that will have to happen into the future. But currently, Bus Eireann have made some changes in relation to route. I would say some changes that would positively reflect on the issues that the Deputy and indeed many other public reps had, and they are monitoring it again. They have pushed it as far as they probably can for the time being, but in the broader scheme of things, it is a route that could be looked at as part of a reanalysis of PSO routes.
Minister,
can I come back quickly?
1 minute.
Thanks, Minister. I appreciate the response. I would just ask for a slightly clearer commitment. This, as I say, I wouldn't normally bring this up on the floor of the Dáil, if this wasn't a very serious issue. It's a very serious healthcare issue for a lot of people in Arklow and along the route. They're not looking at introducing new stops, they're just looking at reopening ones that were closed about halfway up the N11. I appreciate, Minister, your recognition that this is something that could be looked at as part of a broad PSO review. Can I ask for a slightly stronger commitment, which is that you will ask your officials to look at this specific route as a matter of urgency in that context? And again, I would just like to emphasise this is a huge, huge issue for the people of Arklow. There's a lot of very concerned citizens. This is their only way of getting to St Vincent's Hospital. And it's a very, very urgent issue. And I would just ask if you could have your officials look specifically at this case. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy.
Deputy, I've no problem engaging with the officials and asking them to relook at it again. That's not an issue. But just to point out, there has been a number of stops we put in recently, and they are actually looking at putting in, rejigging the stops and looking at it. They are engaging with the local authorities in relation to that. So maybe I will forward you on the details of that. You mightn't have all of that detail. But I have no problem engaging with my officials in relation to looking at this. It is one of many, though. There are a number of other ones where a number of other routes that can be looked at, and maybe we might look at a pilot scheme at a number of these to see a time frame for re-looking at the whole PSO side of things with Bus Eireann. We won't be engaging with Bus Eireann directly on this issue now. At the moment, as you know, they're highly tied up in other business, but into the near future. Okay.